My brother insulted my wife and stepson at our family party, so I exposed his wife's long-hidden affair, and everything he built came crashing down. I'm a 38-year-old man who grew up in a small, tight-knit town where everyone knew everyone else's business. It was the kind of place where people still waved to their neighbors from their front porches, and Sunday potlucks were the highlight of the week. My brother Alan is just 1 year older than me. Growing up, Alan and I were inseparable. We played on the same little league baseball team, faced our parents' lectures and scoldings together, and even navigated the roller coaster ride of teenage years side by side. We understood each other on a level that only siblings can, offering a comforting presence in each other's lives. As an adult, up until a few years ago, we still shared family traditions, celebrated holidays together, and always looked out for each other no matter what. We were like two peas in a pod, sticking together through all the ups and downs life threw at us. As kids, Alan and I had always discussed our love for New York and planned to move out there. Being the oldest, he was the first one to make the bold move. I admired his courage in taking that big step, and a couple of months later, I decided to follow in his footsteps. We both found ourselves in the city that we had dreamed about, rooming together in a small apartment. We tirelessly looked for jobs so we could support ourselves. While I secured a position as a graphic designer, which was a dream come true for me, Alan found himself working as an accountant. Our jobs were not glamorous, and we struggled a lot during the initial days. It wasn't easy to live in a new city, working in jobs that sometimes went overtime and paid too little, but we were pretty glad to have each other to depend on. My life had taken a wonderful turn a year ago when I met my amazing wife Lisa. Lisa was a single mom to her then 1-year-old son Mark. Although I had a stable job, I still wasn't looking to settle down, but everything changed when I met her. I had never imagined marrying a single mother, but once I started interacting with her son Mark, I instantly fell in love with how adorable he was. I just couldn't fathom why Lisa's ex-boyfriend, who was the father of Mark, could abandon his own child and not even bother contacting them. After several months of dating, I knew she was the one. Her kindness and love won me over, and I proposed to her with my mother's ring. She said yes, and we have had a wonderful marriage for the last 2 years. Her son has quickly become a treasured part of my world, and I have embraced the role of being his stepfather. The love and care I feel for this young boy is just like what I would have felt for him if he were my biological child. I had always dreamed of having my own family one day, and I absolutely love them both to bits. Meanwhile, Alan had always held some observations about Lisa and didn't shy away from sharing his concerns with me since the first day he met her. He never quite liked the fact that she was a single mother, and his disapproval had come up in our conversations more times than I could count. I often found myself brushing it off, thinking it was just Alan's way of being an overprotective older brother worrying about my happiness. We'd had many conversations where I made it crystal clear that I loved being a father to Mark and that Lisa meant the world to me no matter the circumstances. I told him time and again that my love for her and her son transcended such trivial concerns. Alan had also met his now wife Sarah through his network of work friends. Their love story was like something out of a romantic comedy where workplace acquaintances turned into lifelong partners. The chemistry between them was undeniable, and it didn't take long for their friendship to blossom into something much more significant. I've spent my fair share of time with Sarah over the years, but we never really bonded much with her. You see, Sarah had a serious drinking issue, which sometimes led to her getting angry and blurting out a lot of secrets that she would later claim that she couldn't remember. On one such occasion, while we were all out drinking and when my brother wasn't around, she confessed that he had trouble satisfying her in bed. Apparently, he was struggling to maintain his performance, and this left her wanting more. She mentioned how she had been hooking up with strangers sometimes. I was taken aback by what I heard, and the next day, after we were both sober, I decided to confront her about it. I didn't want to bring this up to my brother without confirming first, as I knew how much he loved her and it could potentially ruin their relationship. Sarah denied ever saying such things and swiftly changed the topic. I decided to let it slide at the time, as I couldn't do anything, especially when I had no proof. If I did tell my brother, then he could have chalked it up to her talking gibberish while she was drunk. Although I let it go at that moment, those words have always lingered in the back of my mind all these years. As a result, I've always kept my distance from her since then. Now, coming on to the incident that happened this week, every year, our family from all over the country travels back to our hometown, no matter where we are, to celebrate my mother's birthday. It's become a family tradition now, and it's something we have been doing for as long as I can remember. No matter where we are or how busy life gets, we make sure to mark that special day by being with our mother. This year, I decided to take an earlier flight, so I arrived in our hometown before everyone else. You see, Lisa and Mark were scheduled to fly in a bit later because Mark had this important school assignment to finish and hand in, so I had some time to spend with our family before they got there. Alan and Sarah made it too, and it was shaping up to be a great get-together. We were all looking forward to spending some quality time together. The atmosphere was filled with laughter, stories, and that feeling of togetherness that only a family gathering can bring. Just a few days before my mom's birthday, I drove to the airport to pick up Lisa and Mark. Even though we had only been apart for a few days, as soon as Mark saw me, he sprinted towards me with his arms wide open. The pure joy on his face made my heart swell with happiness. We drove back home, where my parents welcomed them with open arms. Mark had always been a favorite in my family, and my parents treated him like their own grandson. In fact, my father had even spoken with me this time about having Mark spend holidays with them so he could learn valuable skills while helping out on our family farm. Of course, my father would pay him for his work, but it was also about teaching Mark important life lessons. On the other hand, I noticed that Alan didn't get up to greet my wife and son. Sarah, who was helping my mother out in the kitchen with preparations, rushed to hug them. I thought maybe Alan was just tired that day from helping around the house, so I didn't pay it much mind. The big day arrived, and we had all worked hard the night before to make sure everything was ready so my mom wouldn't have to lift a finger on her special day. Our close relatives and my mom's old college friends started showing up, and everything was going great. Some of the guests had children of their own, and I introduced Mark to them. The kids quickly ran off to play around our farm, shouting and having a good time. We gathered to have lunch, enjoying a well-cooked meal, when suddenly we heard Mark scream. Lisa and I rushed outside to find him on the ground with scraped knees. It turned out the kids were playing on the swing, and as kids do, someone had given him an accidental push. The entire group had rushed outside as well, looking concerned. That's when Alan, out of nowhere, said, "Well, if he was really your son, he would know that men don't cry over little things like this. Why are you even taking care of some other man's responsibility?" Everyone fell into an eerie silence. Blood drained from my face as I couldn't believe what my brother had just spoken. My parents stared at him wide-eyed, horrified by what he just said. Lisa, meanwhile, looked like she was on the verge of tears as she tended to Mark's wounds. My anger was boiling over, and for the first time in ages, I had an urge to punch my brother. Standing up, I couldn't hold back, and I spat out, "What would you even know about having a child of your own? You struggle with erectile dysfunction, and this is why your wife cheats on you." I saw my brother's face change color, and he looked like he had been punched in the gut. Sarah looked around, embarrassed. I smirked and quickly scooped up Mark, who was still crying in pain, to make my way inside. If my brother could utter such cruel words in front of my son, I didn't want to be around him anymore. My son deserved better than this, so I told everyone we would be leaving. I rushed to pack our things as Lisa tried to change our flight booking to head back home. Thankfully, the airline accommodated our request to change our return dates. I went downstairs to talk to some of the guests so I could tell them goodbye before we headed to the airport. Some of them understood my sudden departure and let me know that I was doing the right thing. My mother, however, was doing her best to convince me to stay and let go of the situation. Meanwhile, I noticed Sarah and Alan having an argument on the porch. Their voices rose, but I just wanted to get my son out of this situation as soon as possible. I called for a cab to take us to the airport. While my dad offered to drive us, I didn't want him to be away from my mom on her birthday, so I hugged them goodbye, apologized for the incident, and we left. Once we were back in New York, Lisa and I could breathe in relief. I was concerned that this situation might have affected her more than me, especially since my brother had publicly humiliated her and our son. Mark, being a kid, was thrilled to be back home, eager to play his video games. Lisa had kept her composure in front of everyone, but now that we were back home, she broke down in tears. Since then, I have been overwhelmed with guilt for putting her through this. When I entered this marriage, I knew some people might question my decision to accept our son, but I never imagined it would be my own brother who would do this. In the days that followed, Lisa, Mark, and I focused on mending our family bonds and trying to put this incident behind us. We decided to make the most of our time off and enjoy each other's company. I spent quality moments with Mark, and Lisa's smile returned. Today, suddenly, I received a text from my brother. The message was far from friendly. It accused me of ruining his life. It appeared that my revelation about his wife's secret had led to a confrontation between them, which had turned their world upside down. Sarah had been unfaithful for a long time with multiple partners since the beginning of their relationship, and the truth was finally out. I have chosen not to reply to him because it seems pointless. His message contained absolutely no apology for how he treated Mark. Shortly afterward, I received a call from our mother. She seemed quite upset and told me that Alan was contemplating divorcing Sarah. She tried to urge me to reconcile with him by reminding me that family should last forever, but I firmly shut her down by reminding her that Alan hadn't even bothered to apologize yet for what he had told me about my son. Mom tried to justify it by saying that Alan wasn't a parent yet, Hence he didn't know saying that would harm my child. She also mentioned how relatives in our hometown were gossiping, with some feeling pity for my brother. According to them, even though Alan didn't harm me directly, I had ruined his life by revealing the secret. So, Reddit, am I the asshole for exposing my sister-in-law's hidden secret and potentially affecting my brother's life? Since the incident, there has been an eerie silence between my brother and me. I never replied back to him, and he didn't try to contact me further. Our lives slowly went back to normal as Lisa and I got back to work and Mark resumed school. And then, out of nowhere, I received an unexpected call from Alan today. I was out with my colleague, so I couldn't pick up his call. When I reached back home, I gave him a call, hoping for a positive outcome. I figured he would have had plenty of time now to cool down and think with his head straight. But as soon as Alan picked up my call, he shouted, "Congratulations, bro, you have successfully ruined my life now." He continued saying how he had talked with Sarah and asked her for a divorce, thinking that she would beg for his forgiveness. Instead, she immediately complied and was ready to go through with it. This seemed to have really pissed him off. I mean, I got his point of view as he was the one getting cheated on, but at the same time, I didn't understand why he was still pining for someone who didn't respect their relationship enough to stay loyal to him. I could hear the noise and laughter from the pub in the background, which indicated that he was not exactly in the state to have a rational conversation. Alan's voice was filled with bitterness, and it was clear that he was looking for someone to vent to, but I was in no mood to be his punching bag. Despite all that he was saying, I had no desire to engage in another pointless argument with him. The distance between us had grown, and I had no intention of bridging it anytime soon. I let him know that unless he personally apologized to me and my wife, we were done with him. Alan snickered and started saying something, but I couldn't stand to listen to his arrogance any longer, so I cut his call and blocked him. I knew my brother well, and he was always stubborn. He would never apologize unless he thought he had done something wrong. In this case, he clearly believed he was blameless. I talked with Lisa regarding this, and we both have agreed we will be severing all ties with my brother. It wasn't just about our own feelings but also a concern for Mark. We didn't want my brother's bitterness to affect our son. Our next step is to talk to my parents. In this, we have a plan to explain our reasons for the decision, so hopefully they will understand. But if my mom continues to support my brother despite his actions, we have to be prepared for a more distant relationship with her too. This is definitely a hard decision for us, but she has always favored my older brother. I think it's time I put my own family's needs over others, and I know in my heart we have to think about Mark first, so we called up my parents to talk it all out. Lisa and I had discussed that it was important for us to convey our feelings and stick to facts, even though this situation was going to be difficult to discuss. I delved into how the incident at my mother's birthday party had changed something fundamental in our family dynamics. My brother's actions had wounded not just us but also Mark, who had witnessed it all. The words stung, and the hurt was real. I didn't want my son ever growing up thinking that he wasn't family to me. He might not be my biological son, but I did help Lisa raise him since he was 3 years old. After the incident, I was also planning to officially adopt him, and I had started the formalities with my lawyer. My mother seemed to be quite conflicted, and I could feel her dilemma, a mother stuck in the middle, not wanting to take sides. But I had to emphasize the importance of our decision, how it was about safeguarding our family's well-being. I let them know that they could continue to have their own relationship with my brother but that we were going to keep our space from him. As we spoke, I could sense my parents' frustration, sadness, and confusion. My father didn't say much during our conversation, but when I finished speaking, he made it clear that he fully supported my choice. He expressed his love for Mark and mentioned how proud he was to have a grandson like him. He reminded me again about his plans to spend time with Mark during the summer holidays so he could teach him about farm life. Lisa was happy to hear this and agreed that it would be great for Mark to spend time with my parents in the upcoming holidays. On the other hand, my mother had stayed quiet for some time. When I asked if she was okay, her voice was shaky, and it was obvious she was crying. She pleaded that even though she respected my decision, she didn't want me to completely cut ties with my brother. She continued saying how I could have a separate relationship with my brother during this time of difficulty. Despite my mother's plea, I made it clear that cutting ties with my brother was the right decision for my family. I knew it wouldn't be easy, but the emotional toll his actions had taken on us, especially on Mark, couldn't be ignored. I explained to my mother that our son's well-being and happiness were our top priorities. Also, if my brother needed my support, then he could have apologized to me first before this situation got any further. As we sat together, her tears flowed steadily, each one a testament to the emotional tug-of-war within her heart. She was caught in a painful struggle, torn between her unwavering love for her children and her deep desire to keep our family intact. The weight of our decision pressed heavily upon her, its impact evident in her trembling voice and glistening eyes. My father, with his characteristic resolve, tried to comfort her, wrapping her in words of solace while firmly pointing out that my brother had ignited this conflict. His tone was gentle yet resolute, making it clear where the fault lay. We took great care to reassure her that our choice to distance ourselves from my brother would not cast a shadow over our bond with her. We were steadfast in our commitment to shield our son from the toxicity that had seeped into our family dynamics. To that end, we made the difficult decision to forego future family gatherings if my brother would be present, unwilling to let his influence taint our son's childhood or sow further discord among us. The conversation was heavy, each word laden with the gravity of what it meant for our family's future. As we prepared to leave, the air was thick with unspoken fears and hopes. We embraced our parents, their familiar warmth a stark contrast to the cold reality of our fractured family. The decision to cut ties with my brother had carved a deep chasm, not just between us and him, but across the broader tapestry of our kinship. We stepped out into the evening, the weight of our choice settling like dusk around us. The road ahead promised to be challenging, fraught with uncertainty about whether healing was possible or if time could mend what had been broken. Yet, amidst this turmoil, I found solace in the unwavering support of my loving wife and the boundless joy of our remarkable son. Their presence was my anchor, a reminder of what truly mattered. I vowed silently to protect them, to nurture the sanctuary of our small family unit, no matter the storms that lay ahead. Only time would reveal if reconciliation was possible, but for now, I held fast to the love and strength we shared, determined to forge a path forward with them by my side. The journey to officially adopting Mark was a marathon of paperwork, court dates, and emotional highs and lows, but the day finally arrived when he became our son in the eyes of the law. That moment was a triumph, a definitive end to any doubts or questions about our family. To mark this milestone, we decided to celebrate in a big way by flying our family to New York for a heartfelt reunion. It had been far too long since we'd all been together, and the joy of sharing this moment with loved ones felt like the perfect way to honor our new beginning. My parents, who had been unwavering in their support of our decision to adopt Mark, were radiant with happiness. Watching their faces light up as they spent time with their grandson warmed my heart in ways I can't fully describe. One of the most endearing moments of the trip was seeing Mark teach my father how to play Minecraft. My dad, with his old school ways and unfamiliarity with technology, sat patiently as Mark guided him through building a virtual house, block by colorful block. Their laughter filled the room, and I couldn't help but chuckle at the sight of my father, a man of routine and tradition, navigating a pixelated world with his grandson. It was a beautiful reminder of how love bridges generations. My mother, too, was deeply moved. She had initially struggled with our choice to distance ourselves from my brother, her heart torn by the hope of keeping the family whole. But seeing Mark, Lisa, and me thriving as a tight-knit unit seemed to ease her worries. She could see the peace and happiness we'd cultivated, free from the shadow of past conflicts. Our little family had found its rhythm, and her relief was palpable as she embraced the joy of our togetherness. As for my brother, my parents shared that his marriage to Sarah had crumbled. Their relationship, strained for years, finally broke under the weight of irreconcilable differences. Apparently, Sarah had tried to enforce a series of demands during their divorce proceedings, but her credibility unraveled in court when evidence of her infidelity came to light. The details were murky, but it was clear their marriage had been eroded by a cascade of issues. Trust, communication, and mutual respect all seemed to have faltered. Hearing this stirred a mix of emotions in me. Part of me wanted to reach out, to offer support during his difficult time, but the wounds from our past still lingered. His harsh words, unapologized for, had built a wall between us that I wasn't ready to dismantle. Over the years, my mother had gently tried to bridge the gap, hoping for reconciliation, but I'd firmly redirected her efforts. My priority was clear: protecting the well-being of my son and my family. While I genuinely wish my brother peace and a path forward, my focus remains on the life we've built. Lisa and I, meanwhile, are in a beautiful place. Each morning, I wake up beside her, her serene expression a quiet testament to the love that anchors us. Through every challenge, adoption hurdles, family tensions, and the daily grind, we've found strength in each other. Her presence is my constant, a reminder that together, we can weather anything. With my parents now in town to care for Mark, we're finally carving out time for ourselves. A long overdue vacation is on the horizon, just the two of us, and the thought of it fills us with excitement. We've chosen Newport, Rhode Island, as our destination, a place that holds deep meaning for us. It's where I proposed to Lisa years ago, under a sky painted with the hues of a setting sun, the sound of waves crashing gently in the background. Returning there feels like a homecoming, a chance to reconnect with the spark that first brought us together. In Newport, we plan to savor the simple pleasures: long walks along the shore, the salty breeze tangling our hair, and quiet evenings spent talking about everything and nothing. The tranquil rhythm of the ocean has always had a way of grounding us, reminding us to slow down and appreciate the moment. This trip is more than a getaway, it's a celebration of our resilience, our love, and the life we've built together. After the intensity of the past few years, the adoption process, the emotional weight of family dynamics, and the demands of parenthood, this vacation feels like a gift we've earned. We're grateful for the way our lives have unfolded, for the love that binds us, and for the promise of new memories waiting to be made. As we look ahead to our time in Newport, I feel a quiet certainty that no matter what lies ahead, Lisa and I will face it hand in hand, with Mark at the heart of our world.